Well boys, welcome back to the channel. Today is a video I've been waiting to make for quite a long time now. It is time to start working on the STI. You guys heard that right. My motor is now done at Josh's shop. I'm heading out there right now. I am bringing my heads because we're gonna assemble a long block there. I'm not gonna be able to record that because a lot of the stuff is Josh's trade secret. I can't show that on YouTube, his specs and whatnot. So we are going to be bringing the heads out to Josh's shop, getting the long block put together. I'll be bringing it back here. And I want this car put together in one day. So I don't know if I'll break it up in multiple videos doing different things. I'm not that sure yet. I do know I'm in a time crunch though. And I need to start working on this. Obviously, I can't get the car started because this car has to go to fabrication, but I can get everything on besides the up pipe and turbo and down pipe. So, let's get to it. We just got the truck all loaded up, got the heads. I almost forgot my head gaskets and my 1/2 inch head studs. So luckily I remembered to grab those. I shouldn't be missing anything else. Worst case, I can always come back home and grab it. But I have everything for my long block. I'm really hoping we can get it together today, the long block. The reason he texted me this morning saying, bring your heads, is he had a delay in one of his dyno tunes because we were expecting my block to be done tomorrow, but there is a delay in one of his tunes. So he said if you get here soon enough, we can get your motor done. So it is currently 10:30 a.m. We are going to be heading out there and seeing what's going on. We just left the bank. I had to pull out more money for some last minute services needed for my block. So now we are heading out to Josh's shop.
Ain't no way he cut this front bumper to the front mount too. By the looks of it.
The motor, the long block is all loaded up in the truck. We left Josh's house. We just went to Subaru. I had to get some gaskets and a new tensioner for the motor. Now we are heading back home and attempting to get this car put together tonight. They unfortunately didn't have the whole OEM gasket kit, which they normally have in stock. So I just had to get gaskets by the piece. So I hope I grabbed the gaskets I know I'm needing because I have like 4 or 5 different kits at home. I just have been taking individual pieces out of it, so I'm not quite sure exactly what I have left. Worst case, it's like a 10-minute drive down here to Subaru. Can grab more parts later on if needed. Hoping I don't though. I want to get this car put together. I don't want to have any hiccups. I just want to be able to sit down, get it together. We're now back at the shop. I got the truck backed into my shop. I'm gonna go ahead and grab this cherry picker, get the motor up in the air, and get it mounted on my motor stand, and get to work. I guess before we get this motor unloaded, I need to still strip down all of the components on here that I will be reusing, and then I can get this motor just sitting on the floor since I only have 2 motor stands. I'll get this stripped down, all the stuff I needed, set this motor aside, then I'll get the new motor onto this motor stand. Completely forgot, we do have another motor stand. It was up in our storage loft up there. I went ahead and brought it down. It's very sketchy. It's not super heavy, but this ladder is very sketchy. And we have like 4 motors up there. It's very hard to get stuff up and down up there. That's why whatever goes up there normally just stays up there. But I went ahead and grabbed this motor stand as well. This way I can have the old motor and the new one sitting next to each other, so I can just swap parts simultaneously. Alright, we now have the long block on the motor stand. I ended up putting this on the ground because my transmission to motor bolts, 2 of them are being used on Bo's motor. 2 of them were being used on this motor. All my bolts were everywhere, so I didn't have enough bolts to put both motors on a motor stand, which is fine. I'll just put this on the cherry picker, let it hang as I take parts off. We are now going to get this long block assembled. I do have to make sure I put these bolts in from this motor, so I have to take those out. It's a very important step. You don't want to forget to not put one of those in. And then of course I still have to put in the 2 bolts for the wrist pins for the pistons on the back. I'll do that when the long block is in the air, right before I put the clutch on it and put it in the car. Alright, first things first, before we start tearing into anything and getting this motor assembled, I do have to take off these valve covers. I do need to put the new gasket on and use that RTV on the cam caps, and then go ahead and get those new cam seals installed as well. Don't want to forget about putting those on. I don't know if any of you guys can relate to me. As you guys can tell, we have lots of different projects going on in the shop. Therefore, it is a horrific mess, and I can't really clean up a lot of stuff because they're placed, a lot of it's Bo's Evo, and I don't want to lose anything, so I can't move anything because they're all on the table and stuff. But it's making it very difficult to try and work, at least for me. I hate trying to work in a messy environment. I can't find tools, I can't find whatever it is, and being so, I can't find the tripod mount for my camera as I was trying to get some time lapse of me doing this motor. So I'm gonna try to figure out a way to probably get some boxes stacked up on my table here to try to get some time lapse for you guys. If not, I do apologize. I will make sure to keep updating everything I am doing. It is also very difficult filming when I am trying to get this car done as soon as possible. It is currently, let me see what time it is. It is 5:36 and I want this motor and the car assembled tonight. Obviously I don't want to rush myself. It's not worth rushing myself and missing something, and therefore my car either doesn't make it to Gatlinburg or something bad happens where I have to pull the motor back out of the car, which is not what I want. So I'm going to do as much as I can tonight. I really do want to try to get this all put together, but I'm just not in the right mindset for this right now. I can't work in messy spaces. I think I got the GoPro to record a little bit. The GoPro shut off on me though. It's been doing that. Not quite sure if there's a setting or something I need to change. But I have the passenger side all finished up. I have the new gasket on, gasket maker on the cam caps, the seals in there. Everything's torqued down to spec. Now time to do the other side. And that is it. So now I took the valve covers back off. I torqued all the cam caps, got all new gaskets, RTV, everything. It's all ready. The heads are, the whole long block is now done. I don't have to take it apart for any reason. Next, I need to start tearing apart this motor and getting all the bolts put back in, the piston holes, wrist pin holes blocked off, get the oil pump put on, lots of just all the small stuff to get the long block officially done. And then after that, it's pretty straightforward from there. It's just bolting everything back onto the car and we're good to go. This has taken me quite a bit longer than what I would have wanted. That being, truth be told, like, I'm very, very nervous with putting together this motor. One, it's a very expensive motor. If you guys aren't aware, this is a BBR Stage X with built heads as well, ported, polished, everything. So it's a fully built motor. My STI will be making over 1,000 horsepower, and this motor is capable of handling that. So I'm very nervous putting this together. I mean, one small thing overlooked and that could potentially take out my motor. So I'm very nervous. So this has been taking me a lot longer, but I think that is going to be beneficial in the end game to make sure that this motor is 100% perfect and ready to go. I'm really hoping I don't have any oil leaks, coolant leaks, anything like that on first startup. It seems like every time I put my car together, I always have a stupid little oil leak that I have to trace down. Hoping on this build, it'll start right up, no leaks, nothing, and it'll run perfect. That's the goal here. Also, this is kind of neat. I kind of forgot this was a thing, but on this Stage X, it comes with nice ARP case bolts. Just makes it look a million times better than the stock case bolts. And obviously, we're gonna need them to where we're trying to go. It'll keep the cases together. Off camera, I went ahead and replaced all the crush washers on these oil lines. Last time I was putting this together, that is where I had an oil leak, was coming from this back one, and with the setup I had before, made it very, very difficult to access that. I'm hoping now, since I am doing a headlight turbo, I'm no longer gonna have an inlet and all that junk under here. So I'm hoping if I do ever forbid having an issue there, I should have a lot more access to all this stuff under my intake manifold, because really all that's going to be ran there is my wiring harness and my fuel lines. So it should clear up a lot of space down there, look a lot better, but also make working on this stuff on top of the motor a lot easier. I now have all the new plugs in. It's going to be hard for you guys to tell. Plug here, plug here, plug here, plug here. There should be one more, forgetting where it was. But all those plugs, I took the old bolts out of here, put some RTV. It has, I think, red Loctite already in the threads on the block, but the RTVs to make sure that it holds. So I'm making some progress. I did just realize I do not have a new water pump gasket. So tomorrow morning I will need to go run to the store or run to Subaru, grab a water pump gasket, and then I can get that part of the assembly done, because all of these lines are coolant lines, which obviously are bolted up to the water pump. So I'll get a new one of those tomorrow. I might tonight try to put the oil pump on. I would normally recommend always buying a new oil pump. This is a brand new oil pump on this motor. This motor ran for literally 20 minutes. So this oil pump is completely fine to use. There was no failures with this motor. So, I mean, if it rod knocked or something, then obviously I would not be able to use this oil pump. But I'm gonna pull off that oil pump, put it on here. We should be good. I do most definitely want to get a new water pump gasket though, because that has been torqued down. We're making some progress though. I have my crossover on, some of these lines on. Obviously I can't get the rest on until I get the water pump on, but we're making some progress here. I do also tonight want to put on the also tonight I do want to put on the new oil pan that I have, just because if this motor is going to be sitting overnight, I don't want it all exposed. That'd be very crappy if something were to get in there and cause failure to, my motor. So I'm gonna put on that new, sorry, I'm tired. Put on the new oil pan. I will put on the new oil cooler as well. I am also using that, the one from this motor. Again, everything on here is brand new. It doesn't make sense for me to go spend like $800 and replace both of them. I think they're like $400 a piece at Subaru, which is just ridiculous. So I already spent that money several months ago. Might as well reuse it, put it on this motor. Sorry, I have not been time-lapsing the past, I don't even know how long. I don't know exactly where I last left you guys, but I went ahead and got the new oil pump on, or I guess the used one, for 20 minutes. Longest part about doing that is cleaning all the surfaces off from the RTV, but we got it backed on, torqued back to spec. We got these two piston pins, holes, covered up, sealed up, all tightened down. These two front bolts are now tightened down. Everything on the front side of the motor is almost done. I have to wait till tomorrow because it is late right now. I need to get a new OEM gasket for the water pump, and then after that I can get pretty much the entire motor, well, I can get the entire motor put back together. I need to pull off this oil pan and grab one of the last case bolts that go, it's hard to see, I think it's on this back side. Oh, right here. The last case bolt that I need to put on, and then tighten that down, and then I can put the new oil pan on this motor. It might look like we haven't made a whole lot of process, but in reality, we're getting pretty damn close. All I have left to do is put on the water pump, put those lines on, put the oil cooler, time the motor, and just put the wire harness and fuel lines on, and that's practically all that we need left. I mean, obviously you have your clutch, small stuff like that, but we're really not that far away. I'm very happy with where we are right now. We are still, I don't like to say ahead of schedule because things can always take longer at fabrication than anticipated, but we're doing good time right now. Tomorrow I'm going to be finishing putting this motor. This might be two separate videos. I don't know how long this video is, but I'm very, very, very excited that my STI will be running very, very soon here. It's been a very long process. If you guys have followed me on social media before YouTube, you guys know that that car has not ran in a very long time. So I'm very excited to hear the first startup on that car and actually be able to drive it. Unfortunately, there will be no more track events this year. It is getting late into the season, the last event being the 24th. So unfortunately, the STI will not be able to race this year unless we travel. There is always an option of going down to California or someplace like that where tracks are open, but in my general area, there's nowhere open. That just gives me more time to dial in the car. I'll talk more about it in tomorrow's video, but when I put this car together, there's still a lot of stuff I'm needing to put on the car. Given the time crunch I'm in though, the car will run perfectly fine with all the stuff I have for it and still would make good power, but there's some stuff that is still needed to be done to the STI. So after I get this running again, I will actually be pulling the motor again after Gatlinburg to be doing some of those things. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I'll see you guys in the next one.